Hello, everyone out in Fringe TV land. This is Alfred Willowhawk, and I'm here with Michael Zan from Nemuer, and I am in the Czech Republic, and I am just really happy to spend some time with you. How are you today, Michael?
Hello, Alfred. Really well. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Okay, I'm really excited. A little bit later, we're going to talk about your latest album and your film project. But at first, some of our listeners and our viewers might be interested in talking a little bit about how you got into your current spiritual practice and how you would classify it.
Yeah, well, for those who know my project Nemuer, uh, we we don't really go for one particular culture or one particular mythology or religion or spirituality. We're more uh, inclusive, and with every single album, we basically cover a different culture. But it all goes down to paganism and like uh, polytheism, and I do believe there are many things that those have in common, and so it would be more complicated to talk about what my personal view on spirituality is, but to try to make it simple, I do look at it also from this point of view of like not selecting only one thing, but going for multiple truths, and it's I think it actually is like the core of the polytheism to be able to accept multiple truths leading to the same destination. So we're working now on the ancient Egyptian album, and especially there you can find so many information, so many facts that are like mutually exclusive for our perception. For like for the modern viewer, um, it would just not make sense, or it would seem irrational or illogical. But this ancient uh, ancient people looked at it differently, and I think there is some beauty to it. You know, not really having to choose one, but being able to accept many views.
Awesome, awesome. That's very, very interesting. So you would say that you're probably a little bit on the eclectic side, because you look for the common threads between all of the different paths. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say so.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I want to get right into the your newest project on ancient Egyptian, your ancient Egyptian project, because you mentioned it already. So why don't you tell us a bit about how you got into this? I mean, I know you from your YouTube, you went to Egypt and did all kinds of things, and tell us how all this came about.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, Nemuer was all about like celebrating all kinds of ancient civilizations and cultures, and even this name Nemuer comes from ancient Egyptian word, and I admit it's my obsession, and it's been since early childhood. But yes, for many years I've been working on it, and since we started Nemuer, I wanted to focus on ancient Egypt, but I felt that I need to ripe ripe up as a composer, and also as a human being, and also I actually wanted to have a proper pronunciation, which was a problem back then. We started 2014, and at the time Egyptologists just didn't know how to pronounce most of the language. And for many years, I just waited, well, actively waited uh, for a breakthrough. And it eventually happened. And I started collaborating with this amazing French Egyptologist, Dr. Christian de Vartavan, whose main focus is actually reconstruction of this ancient Egyptian language pronunciation. So once I found out that he managed to do that, although limited to only a few thousand words, I started working really, really hard and decided to cover and musicalize the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And with his help, I believe we are the first ones to actually resurrect this language and these texts.
Awesome, awesome. So I know with some of your other albums that you use period instruments. What kind of instruments are you using with this project?
Yeah, for this one, I decided to use both authentic instruments and semi-authentic, and actually a few modern as well. So the authentic ones, I would say the main one would be Egyptian flute, reed flute ney, which really gives it this like special feeling, you know, all those desert vibes and the ancient touch of the ancient times. Then, of course, the sistrum, the sacrificial sistrum. There's the rattle, obviously, and African harp, which was actually not as easy to obtain as one would think so. And from the semi-authentic ones, we used Egyptian oud, basically like, well, very typical Middle Eastern instrument, but it has its roots in even older instruments, and Egyptian lyre. And then from the modern instruments, we actually used electric guitar just to
Wow.
spice things up a little bit, and added some electronics as well, because we're going to the underworld. So why not?
Hmm.
You don't really know how the music sounded exactly, and when you're in the underworld, I think you should not limit yourself. So what I did is I chose the instruments in a way that uh, it would help with immersion of the listeners, you know, to get the full immersion. And sometimes even electric guitar can do this really well if used properly.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I know that the album is coming along. It's almost complete, as we discussed before the show. And I'm looking forward to it. Now, there's another aspect to this whole thing. There's a film. So, can you tell us what's going on with that?
Yeah, well, a good friend of mine is a painter. Uh, she has also a great passion for ancient Egypt, which I actually found out like a year ago, and then it just clicked, and we realized why not to make it a bigger project. And her paintings, are just amazing. It's surreal art, and I think it has much in common with the ancient Egyptian art as well. And so we decided to make a half animated and half action movie. But obviously, it's mainly artistic and musical, and the point is to musicalize the Book of the Dead. So it's it's mainly to accompany the music, not the other way around, actually.
Hmm. Interesting. So you're saying that it's half animated and half live action.
Yeah.
How, what, what, well, I guess first, why the both of them, and then maybe a little bit about how that's going to mesh.
Yeah. So we have already released a preview of this film, uh,
Hmm.
which covers the first track, which is called Gates of Duat. And the reason for doing it this way is that we wanted uh, the live action, to capture the actual rituals and practice that we from the band will actually perform. Uh, so I thought it would be more interesting than just to look at beautiful paintings, although it's
Mm.
also very nice. But I think in this way it gives us the most freedom possible, because there are certain things that are not so easy to capture with uh, with action, with live action, and are very easy to express to be expressed with art. And then there are other things that are it's much easier to capture them when you actually perform them for real. So that's what we will do, and that's what we actually do at our concerts as well with Nemuer. Uh, we reconstruct the rituals also based on research. So uh, now with the ancient Egyptian album, we actually reconstruct this repelling Apophis ritual, which is more than 5,000 years old,
Mm.
and it's well documented, and its its main point is um, to its execration ritual actually, but to execrate this demon or dark Apophis, the serpent that embodies darkness, chaos, and evil. So, so we, in this way, we're basically fighting darkness.
And is that the overall theme of the film and the album, to overcome darkness?
Well, it's definitely one of the main themes, uh,
Okay.
because the whole film and the album is aiming for musicalizing the Book of the Dead, uh, of which correct name actually is Going Forth by Day uh, in ancient Egyptian texts. And the point, if I will have to simplify it, but in a nutshell, the point is to help the deceased one to go through underworld and go through transformations and eventually to get reborn uh, uh, and uh, become immortal as one of the gods. So I would say on like more figurative level, I think that's probably the main message of the film and the album. So you can clean yourself and transform, go through the darkness, accept it, but then transform and reborn
Mm.
with the light
So
again.
yeah, and I think, and there are a lot of mythologies that have that component
Yeah.
to it. And I'm really interested in. You said that you basically reconstructed a particular ritual for this.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about that process? Because, we know from Egyptologists from the Victorian era that they put everything within the framework of Victorian England, and that was a disaster. Um, and so now we're finally coming to a place where we might be able to understand Egyptian culture from those days. But how do you reconstruct a ritual that's over 5,000 years old? And even know that you're doing it right, but even and make it uh, impactful for 21st century world.
Yeah, I think that goes back again to what I talked about earlier, and it's about understanding, but also acceptance. So what I like to do is to do as much as possible on my part, research-wise, to get as close as possible, but then at the same time being able to accept that, of course, we will not be able to say for 100%. We won't be absolutely certain that it was exactly how it was. There's pretty good chance it was done like that. There's evidence. It's not, like that we would just think it out. There's good evidence for certain rituals, like this one I mentioned, which basically entails breaking red pots, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of evidence of that being done over thousands of years. And yeah, like I said, or I will probably say now, the intent is also extremely important, understanding and intent. So I think it's the similar thing with our album as well. We accept that it will not be 100% authentic, but we will do our best to get the gist of it, and you know also adjust it a little bit to nowadays modern people. So it's a combination of ancient and modern, and I think that actually makes more sense than trying to just do the ancient thing and hope that it would work. Yeah, I think we need to evolve, and as they evolved as well.
Hmm.
As Yeah,
Hmm. So can you expand on that a little bit? You say that, so you're evolving the ritual into this wonderful music. I mean, you were mentioning earlier that you have electric guitar in this, which they certainly didn't have electric guitar 5,000 years ago, or at least as far as we know, right? Um, so can we talk a little bit more about this evolution that you're talking about in your music? Because I think that that's really um, one of the seeds or one of the cornerstones of all the music that you've written is that it's really been this bringing it from the past into the future and making it accessible. So I'd really like to
yeah,
spend a couple of minutes on that.
yeah. So, like I said, I don't think it would make much sense, trying to be like 100% archaeologist, because it's not even possible. There are so many instruments that we will never know how they sounded. Although we have some idea, based on the limitations that the instruments have.
Hmm.
So if you can only play certain scales with those instruments, then it's very likely that you will play something the ancient people used to play. So uh, so yeah, but that said, I also take this liberty to express my own ideas and my own feelings, which I think artists should do. Uh, but yeah, when it comes to evolution and this whole thing, um, yes, also my own compositions evolved. Back like 9 years ago, I started with really raw, simple melodies and simple instruments, just trying to make it tribal and very very simple. But it turned out to be very difficult for people to actually get it.
Hmm.
And then I realized that it's better to actually make something like multi-level based, something that has the depth, but at the same time is still somewhat accessible to to people um, who still are able to to feel something, you know, they're sensitive enough to actually understand some levels of music.
Hmm.
Sorry, maybe it sounds I'm being vague, but
No, well, it's okay because being vague, it's very intriguing. It's very intriguing, and I'm looking forward to it. Now I know that it's expensive to put together a film, and you said you had some backing, and normally we don't really do this, but you do have a crowdsourcing going on for the film, and I just like to give you just a small opportunity to talk a little bit about that, how people might join you in this project.
yeah, thank you. So first, I would like to say that yes, of course, we in order to make a film, we need funds, but we are also giving something in return, and I think there are like many cool rewards that you can get that campaign, and you won't be able to get it later on. And those have to do with the film, like film props, but also the music album and uh, other uh, other cool things. And what I personally think is the most interesting is that we give a chance to every single contributor to actually become part of the movie.
Hmm.
Uh, so uh, we will choose up to 10 people, uh, regardless of how much they contributed. And they will become part of the movie as animated figures, and hence immortal in
Hmm.
their in indirect way.
Oh wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And can you just tell us now? I know that you can go to Nemuer.com, Nemeuer.com, um, and check that out. One thing that I want to circle back on is that you started to work significantly with Dr. De Vartaven on the pronunciation,
Yeah.
and how did you find that? I mean, you're obviously a native Czech speaker. You speak English extremely well. By the way, thank you. I wish that I knew how to speak Czech, but I can barely pronounce anything in Czech. My apologies. I won't embarrass you or me in doing that. However, um, how did you find, learning this pronunciation for this effectively dead language?
Yeah, well, I would say, of course, the pronunciation was difficult part, but not the most difficult part. What was actually the most difficult was to actually learn the hieroglyphic writing,
Hmm.
to be able to read it at least on some level. Because when I talked with Dr. De Vartavan, he was very impressed with my work, and I got to the stage where I already had lyrics which were extracted from the Book of the Dead.
Hmm.
Uh, but I also chose them in a way that most of the words were in his um, uh, vocalized dictionary. So I actually had to the intersection of those, and like I said earlier, yeah, he was able to resurrect like less than 4,000 words. So I was rather limited. But when he saw that, I, I did it. I
Hmm.
also he was impressed, and he saw that I had like many question marks there, and I wasn't certain about many words. And so he said, "Okay, uh, I will go through every single word," and he actually helped me with it. But you will have to give me the hieroglyphic original texts. And
Hmm.
I was like, I was both really happy but also a bit horrified because I didn't have them. You know, I only had the transliteration, and I knew the sources, but I didn't have the hieroglyphics. So I ended up working really hard on you know, learning those, and actually going through the original papyrus or papyri, because there are like
Hmm.
3 different ones, and actually finding the segments in a really huge text. Yeah. So eventually I was able to do it, and Christian de Vartavan was even more impressed, and he also liked our music really a lot. So yes, he went through every single word and helped me with the pronunciation, for which I'm really glad, because otherwise it wouldn't be possible to make such album.
Awesome, awesome. So, so we have the film and the album is almost done. Do you have are you going to release the album and the film at the same time, or are we going to release the album sooner?
Yeah, we will release the album actually very soon. It's we will release it on November 4th.
Awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been more than 4 years of active work. Yeah, so I think it's about time. It's about time.
Indeed,
Uh,
indeed.
yeah, it's about time. But yeah, and when it comes to film, it depends. You know, if we make if we actually gather enough funds. But that will probably take at least 1 year to complete. It will be a
Hmm.
short film, but still, it's a lot of work. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Well, awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share about your work with us as we're beginning to wind down this our half hour together?
Well, maybe just to add one like technical thing, because there's been some issues with the crowdfunding campaign for people outside EU.
Hmm.
Being you know people complain that they don't take the credit cards outside of EU. But
Hmm.
for that reason, we have also like a PayPal service open, so it's also possible like this. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the issues of crossing multiple currency barriers
Yeah.
in the world. Do you have a message, something from your heart that you would like to share with all of our viewers? Doesn't have to be just about this, but just your heart of heart. This is the a place where you're going to have several thousand people to actually
Yeah.
reach. So go for it, Michael.
Yeah. So I think I will go back to what I said earlier, and it's it has to do with paganism and the acceptance of all the different paths leading to the same destination. I think many people forget to realize that, and I would really like to see more and more people being interested in all kinds of paths. You know, being less judgmental and being more full of acceptance, and that I think is one of the most essential things that our project is about.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for that, Michael. I look
Mhm.
forward to further collaboration with you, and I'm excited to see where the film goes. And everybody, please check out Nemuer and both on their website, their YouTube channel, all of their fantastic music. I look forward to seeing your future endeavors, and thank you for spending some time with me. It was very enlightening, and I'm glad that you're learning the hieroglyphics and not me. So, um, have a great night, and thank you very much again. Namaste.
Well, thank you for having me, Alfred.